So we've done our best to put together an unhinged reactions from as many sides as possible. As usual, we got to start with Bill Maher. Let's take a listen.
I would really be shocked if this judge gave him a prison sentence for this.
I mean, MAGA Nation will go nuts. I don't know if that's a reason to or not to do something, but they will.
Yeah, but one of the things about this apocalyptic language that you hear from all of these, the Amen chorus, is they really are inviting violence. And that's a big concern of mine. And Trump is completely unrestrained in suggesting that maybe that's appropriate. I mean, he hints that all the time. That's how he got in trouble on January 6th. And he's doing it again because I think he's more desperate now than he was then.
But if they put him in jail, I know it'll happen because the judge's name was Juan.
Yes.
Everything becomes racial in this country. That's partly because of our horrible, despicable racial past, partly because some of that racism lives on in the president, and some of it because the far left makes everything racial. But that's what it's going to be. A civil war in this country, I'm sorry to say, becomes a race war. That's the sad truth about this country. And if they put him in jail, I mean, that's the first thing his supporters are going to say is, oh, that's what it is.
Well, that's the first thing
a black
he will
district
say.
Attorney, all these people who are the district attorneys, they're black. The judge was not white. This is what it is.
Is it me or Krystal, or is he the only one seeing some of the race aspect of this? Because look, I follow a lot.
Projection.
I was going to say I follow a lot of Republicans. I follow some of the most hardcore MAGA people you will ever see, and I don't see a single discussion of race in any of this criticism, except maybe from replies to literal Nazis. So maybe this is a little bit of projection, like you said, from Mr. Maher, because I don't know what the hell he is talking about.
I mean, listen, obviously there are racial divides in this country, but ironically, given the fact that you do have more Latinos and African Americans going to the Republican side, it's actually the least racially polarized in terms of a partisan divide that we've been in a long time.
Yes, correct.
So, yeah, I don't know where this came from. And then even I saw not just from him, but I also saw people on the right talking, oh, this is going to lead to civil war and all this. And I understand people feel that the country is on a knife's edge, et cetera. But we also haven't seen any sign of that. I mean, he just was found guilty. There was no violence. There was no, I get coming off of January 6th, people are worried. How is this all going to go down? But there was another time when Trump actively called for people to come out in front of the courthouse and demonstrate, and they basically didn't show up. So, again, I understand the nervousness about the country being on a knife's edge and things being fraught, et cetera, but I just don't see the evidence that there's going to be some sort of a national break, an actual civil war, and certainly not a race war over what is happening here. So, listen, I can always be wrong. You never know how these things all go down. But based on the fact that also Republicans are so convinced that they're all feds at this point that it's made the right very difficult to organize in the way that the left has been previously. After January 6th, everyone thinks everyone else is a fed with some justification, let's be honest. Yeah. And so that's made it very difficult to organize any sort of mass response to any of these things that are
The modern right organization is a lot like the Black Panthers in the 1970s, where it's like the Spider-Man meme and everyone's like, you're a fed, you're a fed. And they were right, by the way. The Black Panthers are right then and the right is right today. So, man, in general, you'd be better off if you assumed that if someone's ever trying to instigate you into a little plot. Just ask the people at the Gretchen Whitmer trial. At the same time, those over at Newsmax doing nobody no favor in talking about political violence. Let's take a listen.
You fight fire with fire. Otherwise, these Marxists are going to keep doing this. And red state AGs, you guys better start hammering these people. You have the opportunity now. They cleared the way. Look, Democrats took what they alleged was a federal misdemeanor from the FEC and made it a state felony 34 times over. There's no rules, apparently. Step up. I'm not just talking. You tyrants are about to awaken a machine you don't want. You are pushing people to the edge. The same party that is offended by the wrong pronouns is pushing the party that owns 90% of the guns, of which the majority defends our nation, who mine our minerals, who build our skyscrapers and drive our trucks. You weak people have no idea. You people in your cities with your white shoe consultants, country clubs, who thought prosecuting Trump was a good idea, you have never met America. You've watched that scene, obviously, in Braveheart, where they're all online waiting for the British to charge them, and he's screaming, hold. Folks, hold.
All right. Same thing where it's like, chill, dude. It's going to be, if Trump himself is not as worried about it, then putting 1776 to 2024 on the tombstone, we all don't need to go that far. Take your cues actually from the leader, and at the same time being like 90% of the guns and basically explicitly threatening some sort of like, I don't even know, it's not insurrection, I guess. At this point.
his instead of a race war, we're doing like a regional urban
war.
versus rural war in this particular scenario that he's not worried about. He's actively cheering for. So there you go. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
Everything is, look, I agree. Yeah, norms and all that, things are breaking down. Does that mean that we are literally on the verge of civil war? No. And if you want to know why, you should go read a book about the Civil War and how long it actually took to get to that point. And we're nowhere even close to it, luckily. And we should be happy about that sort of thing. Let's go finally here to MSNBC and to Michael Cohen about why, even though Trump was convicted in the New York court of law with his own testimony, that he and everyone at MSNBC is still unsafe now that he is in prison. Let's take a listen.
I'm afraid of him going to jail.
Why?
And not for him, not for his safety. That's on him. He's got Secret Service protection. I'm more concerned for you and for all of us and our families than for the American people, because this clown had 4 years of being debriefed on national security issues. On top of that, if he becomes the Republican nominee, he gets debriefed again starting now. Think about this. America, think about this for a second. My concern is, in a prison situation, he's willing to give away these secrets, as I always say, for a bag of tuna or a book of stamps. And he will do it because he doesn't care.
So he's such a fascist that he will still be a threat to them in prison. And that he will somehow, Trump will be sitting there trading for a prison commissary. Be like, so that's my real question to Michael Cohen. Why do you think that a bowl of ramen is worth like knowing something about Iran? That doesn't get anybody in prison anything. It's more likely to be like, hey man, let me get some of your cigarettes. Like, what are we doing here?
I just can't stop laughing at he said he would trade them for a bag of tuna.
Yeah.
What, a bag of tuna? Listen, if there was a risk, I mean, and I think there was a risk of Trump, like with the classified documents, like that's a real problem. Like if he was going to sell out our country, and I think in many ways he already has, like to Saudi Arabia, et cetera, I think that damage has already been done. I don't know what, his Selly really wants with the
he's not going to have
Iranian nuclear info or whatever for his bag of tuna. I don't know. I mean, I just also love the MSNBC standards are so low. Anyone who's just willing to be against Trump, you're now like besties.
Yeah, and you were right.
Michael Cohen has been 100% rehabbed and, sitting there all cozy like with Michael Steele and Simone Sanders. Really bipartisan gathering of folks there who are all willing to see
also,
Trump as
you were
bad.
correct. That was Alicia Mendez who was sitting there at the desk, who is Bob Menendez's daughter, who actually did sell secrets to foreign governments for gold bars. And we're all just gonna sit there and be like, wow, that's so unique to Trump. It would never happen, right? In this country, it's like your dad is literally being indicted for that. Like, and of course, and then somehow she's still not on the air. Like, look, that's a whole other conversation.
I mean, look, I don't want to blame her for the sins of her father, but it is awkward for her to be sitting there condemning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Listening to this kind of whatever.
Okay, she recused her from that coverage. I think that's fine. I think that's fine and dandy. But it's pretty hypocritical to sit there and just allow this stuff to happen there without acknowledging what's going on. So there you go. I think that's the best we can show you now for our roundup, and I'm sure we can have many more deranged takes to come. So just sit back and we'll make sure to have it for you. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.